Today I want to talk about bosses, and also how these developers once again hate their players. So in my view, Moloch was still the best boss in this game, and the reason is not because he's the hardest boss. Well, actually I would say he is, if you count him as, if you're trying to create a true boss that's challenging, but not bullcrap, and also is more in this game, it would be more about testing your build, then he is a very good boss. When I first started this game as a dev, I'll admit I still was able to beat him the first time, and beat Frontline once I got to the expeditions. And honestly, admittedly, Frontline was probably even easier than the first time I fought him, but that was again because I've been playing the game a while, soloing everything, and I had fine-tuned my build for tanking at that point. So the thing is, even back then, before, if you remember really old videos of mine, I still wasn't sure if resistance did anything. I'll tell you what, Moloch made a big difference in determining that resistance definitely matters, because anytime I took a max health tank to him, if I had enough leech combined with that, I was able to tank him and still down him, but I was always annoyed or frustrated that my health would still drop to the red constantly. And then I put on resistance, and I put on a lot of resistance, and I realized that's all I needed to do to fight him like a tank, and destroy him like a tank. Now let's be honest, this game is about a power fantasy. That's its best thing, frankly. And I have no idea how the players now know this game. I do know, actually. It's because the players care more about the game than the creators, or the developers, whatever you want to call them. But yes, the players understand this game better than the creators, the developers, whoever actually knows now. Because we understand what it's become. It's more of a power fantasy game and build crafting game, both of which it does very well most of the time. That's one of its best things about the game, is the build craft customization. To destroy everything in front of you. That is the fun. These developers don't know anything about fun when they talk about it. Not in this kind of game. They're talking about maybe Dark Souls or Call of Duty or some crap like that, where skill and get good still plays a role in a game like this, where most of it is about you designing perfect mods, and designing math. They make fun about, oh, you're just good at math. Okay, well, yeah, maybe we're just better at math than you are. I feel like that's still a skill. It takes skill to make a good build in this game. Because there are plenty, in fact, I'd say there's probably more players still than other players who have crappy builds and struggle and are more casual. Some of them it is just because they're casual and they don't really care much to learn it. And that's fine. I mean, we all play how we like. But again, don't you dare have those players or these developers then start criticizing the others and saying, well, you're not actually that good. You're just putting your big brain to use, and well, I just shut it off. is what I hear, actually, when I hear that crap. And listen, in some stuff, I want to shut my brain off too. It's perfectly fine. But don't pretend that that's not what you're doing and we're not doing that, because that's what's happening. Anyway, Moloch is like someone who tests your build. He can be very hard if you don't have a good build. As he should be. He's a boss. He can be very hard even for a whole group of people if they do not have good builds. But once you get a good build, you notice he becomes easier, but maybe still challenging. And then, as was in my case, but then now, as you'll see, is my builds have come a long way since then, and I can go into Frontline on my Trickster and take 0 damage, and not only that, my shield, I could do that earlier. Now it's even better, where my shield doesn't even get to halfway. It's insane. But that's from a ton of years of experience and just designing builds and wanting to do it. That's the point of this game. I think it's good and fun when you design builds so well that you can crush everything. Every boss. That's the point of the bosses in a game like this. They test your build. And once you fine-tune it, to the T, then yes, they deservedly become easy, because honestly, this is a power play game. You're supposed to feel like that's how the cutscenes portray you. I never understand that. The little bit of story in this game portrays you as not in co-op, as soloing everything and crushing everything. Like, that's what it portrays you as. So let me also just talk about some other news that I've been seeing of these developers now daring. They have the audacity when they're talking about their ambassadors, and oh gosh, I'm starting to think that's ambassadorship on YouTube might be to blame for all this crap. The fact that we just got nerfs and nothing else with the last update. See I'm going to actually link the video in this video of my other rant about how I think this game's dead and is going to, like, dead metaphorically and probably literally dead is my prediction for it in the near future. So these developers are actually having the audacity to talk to players, and while they're criticizing ambassadors, but also talking to the players as a whole, like saying, "Oh, we know you're using exploits to fight the boss 4 times." I'm like, let me remind you again. I am your customer, and I paid $40 for you to nerf me, make me start over, not compensate me for those nerfs, not like unlock my mods or attributes. And listen, I kind of predicted it. I just didn't predict it that bad. I always predict nerfs, but not that insane. But because of that, I was more prepared than other players, as you've seen, where I didn't really have to change my builds much. And I had stuff on hand to change them too. I got green gear saved in my stash. And oh boy, you want to talk about exploits? Oh, I will use the exploit of re-rolling saves on the game until I get the next mod to as much as I want. And I will continue doing that. And I'll tell other players to do that. And screw you, I don't care if you ban me. I'll play another game. I don't care. Like, screw you if you think that is bad at all. In a game where you have there's more RNG in this game than Pokemon when it comes to loot. Like, don't even get me started on the ridiculous idea that you have to grind for potentially years now to get perfect attributes and perfect mods on purple gear. Legendary gear is still a grind, but purple gear is just an insane grind. And then you have the audacity to come in and nerf a locked mod on that perfect piece of gear, or change it, making it useless, and I have to start that all over again for $40. And that's not the worst part. The worst part was there was no content. And they're talking about that too. They're saying, you're not experiencing the content. They actually use that word. How tone deaf can you be to use the word content anymore in describing this game? Content, experiencing the boss, replaying them. You mean the same boss you recycled 3 times? And so the last point, I'll just talk about that boss. I am so sick of fighting the Arbiter over and over and over again. I agree. But there is no content. What are you going to do? You're going to nerf that and make it so we can only fight him once? Okay, fine. So we start finding Aquaman and the birdemic phase. Like, that crap. Like, great. And honestly, I would like to have more reasons to do that. There won't be more reasons, because I bet you'll just nerf the loot of grinding the boss 4 times, but keep the loot in those other areas the same, of course. And there's hardly any content there. Oh, okay, it'll be a few extra minutes of battling. There's nothing, dude. Don't you ever talk to me about content, experiencing the content. Screw you. And I am honestly at the point where I was just fighting the Arbiter, and he raises his axe and does that crap over and over and over again. And he's not a challenging boss. He's not a hard like Molech. He's just a bullcrap boss. You can get through it, but you're going to be so freaking annoyed that you're just forced to just watch him raise his stupid axe in the sky for over half the fight. It's one thing if it was once. He does it all the time. So you know what? Use a modded gun and kill him.